Hello everyone, this is Karen and this is going to be a comparison video. Last time I did a first impression video on this set, which is the Kuretake Gem set of metallic paints. And I will leave links in the cards and in the description, but long story short, I was not happy with their performance. I found them streaky, I found their colors dull, and the metallic sheen was like uneven and very faint, aside from the yellow color, which performed kind of average. So no, I was not happy with them at all. But I do have another set of metallic paints. These are Finetec Colero metallic paints. I have been using them for quite a long time and I have yet to make a dent on them, so I think they're worth their value, especially since this set costed me about 12 euros altogether. So you get 6 colors for 12 euros. One of these, just one, costs about 4.5 euros. So I can understand the appeal of going for the cheap alternative instead of like splurging a lot of money that maybe you don't have right now for this set. But I still think this is worth the investment. But some people commented on my first impression video that maybe I did not give this set like a full chance because I only tested them on white paper. So I thought in between doing a comparison between the two metallic paints, I could do some experiments on different surfaces. So this is blah 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 blah. Okay, this is a Clairefontaine Etival block. It is 300 GSM 100% cellulose paper, and these are the three. Wait, I don't like this orientation. Like this is better. And white, black. And I did a very uneven wash, I have to say, of phthalo blue-green shade. This is Daniel Smith, so anything that happens upon it is not because of the bad quality of the paint, or at least the watercolor paint. So I will pick some color couples between these two sets. I do not have the exact shades, so maybe some will perform a little bit differently color-wise, but it's to be expected. But I will try to give each paint its worthy brother. So this one, this is like the red-orange tint for the red, which I know has some sort of maroon but brown hue to it. This one is not exactly pink because this is supposed to be the like red shade of Finetec, while this one is the red-orange, but I think it will be a good match for pink. For yellow gold, I will go with the yellowest gold in my palette, which is the Aztec gold. Then I don't have green, like a proper green, because I did not like the, I think it was the apple green color, and I purchased mint, so this is probably not going to be a very good green for it, but more or less. This is peacock blue. This is a slightly green turquoise shade, so and I know this blue is kind of like more towards the Prussian tones, so this is also not an exact match, but who cares. And then violet. I don't have a violet, but I do have something strange that was given to me by Finetec when I ordered all the rest of the paints. They gave me a little extra of unicorn So this is kind of a strange paint because on white paper it has one color and on black paper it has another color. And you can go check out the Finetec site, but it is really an interesting paint. I did not purchase it in the beginning because I use this paint mainly on white paper, so for me having the pink shade is not ideal because I don't like pink. So, but I was happy I could try it. So I'm going to pit Violet against Unicorn. And also, if I still have a little bit of space, I will show you the magic of their shimmer paints, because this looks white. I will not tell you what color it is, but it does change on a black surface. So, if we can have this extra, fine. If not, well. Okay, so let's put this away. Let's bring in the paper and let's play and see which one is best. I know which one is best. I already know it. I'm just playing with colors. Okay, so how should we do it? Let me organize and then we'll come back.
Okay, so here are my thoughts and considerations about these two paints. You will see me swatch them in the video, but I already have the final result right in front of me, so I'm looking at the final product. So the first thing that I want to say is that I may have been a little bit too harsh on the Kuretake paints by saying that they suck, but I still stand by my opinion that they're not a good fit for me, and I will explain why. The swatches on this comparison look a lot better than the swatches I did on the first impression video, and there are two reasons for that. The first is because during these swatches I overcharged my brush with a lot of paint, which is not what I usually do with metallics, and the Finetecs are all swatched with my usual level of charging. So if I want to get a closer look to the Finetec, I have to overcharge my brush with a lot of paint. The other thing is that I don't usually use my metallics in this way. I don't just do a stripe. I either do very small details, so I cannot use a lot of water to reactivate the pigment, or I do washes, not very big, they are small washes, but I do washes. And with a wash you spread the pigment within a bigger area than what you would do with just a line swatch, basically. So to make these paints look good, I kind of have to use them very differently than how I would normally use them in my watercolors. So I can make them look nice if I want, but I will still not be able to use them the way I normally do, so they are not very useful for me. But still, this is the reason why they look better this time around, and I know they look better. Still, there are some differences between the two paints, and I will tell you right away. I'm mostly looking at the white, the black and white swatches. I will talk about the watercolor wash later. So the main difference is that you can still see a little bit of streakiness in the Kuretake swatch. It is less noticeable in the beginning of the swatch because there is more paint on the brush, but in the final part of the line swatch you can see that it's becoming a little bit streaky. The paint, the main part of the paint, the metallic part, is going towards the edges, and in the middle there is just like a watery hole, let's call it that way. It is very noticeable, especially in the pink and a little bit in the gold one, but the other ones also have this problem as well. Another thing that I noticed is that like the fine pigments inside the paint are bigger in the Kuretake set rather than in the Finetec one. So it's basically the difference between gravel and sand. Well, it's not that noticeable, but you get the idea. The particles of paint in the Kuretake paints are much bigger, and you can notice that. Other two things that I noticed is that since I had to overcharge the brush to get a good swatch, it dried a little bit unevenly, so you can see differences in the swatch. Like in the border, it's a little less matte, and the green one especially, it looks like the binder is all on one side, and the pigment is all on the other side, so you get like two tones of green. And that is not something I would like on a watercolor piece, but yeah. The other thing is that, you know, I like to touch my watercolors, and the Finetec one is very matte, has a very uniform look, and most importantly, it's like it's not sticky. And the Kuretake paints are a little bit sticky, and I don't know if it's the binder, I don't know if it's a filler, I have no idea what it is, but it's a little bit sticky. And of course, you're not going to go around and touch your paintings all the time, but it's something that I noticed and I wanted to share with you. The other thing, let's talk about the watercolor wash, and I was pretty impressed with the Kuretake set, because it looks a lot better on watercolor wash rather than on normal paper. Of course, the Finetec worked just fine, and it is much more consistent between washed paper, black paper, and white paper. The Kuretake paints just behaves better on watercolor wash, and I have no idea why. So if any of you have any idea about that, because the paper is primed or it already has water, I have no idea. But it looks better on a wash rather than on normal paint. So on normal paper. So this gives me hope that if you use them on for a project over a flat wash for your watercolors, you will get good results, because it looks better on watercolor paper rather than white paper. A consideration I have to make about the Finetec ones instead is that I swatched again the pearlescent, the blue one, which is supposed to be a shimmer paint, so it's supposed to like change color on a darker surface, and then the unicorn one, which is supposed to look pink on the white paper and green on the black paper. I have to say that I was not that happy about them, mainly because the green shimmer of the unicorn one is visible only when light hits the paper, and it is the same both on black and white paper, and the pinkish tone is present on both papers when the light does not hit. So it is not a matter of changing the background, it is a matter of reflectiveness, which is not exactly what I had understood from the site, but alright, I can deal with that. But the other one, it's a little bit more difficult for me to explain, because the blue part on the black background has some sort of white, like cloudy white effect, which I do not exactly like. So I'm probably not going to be using this paint as much, especially since it was the only one that reactivated what was under it on the watercolor wash. So this is kind of dangerous because if you use it on a watercolor wash, you are going to like lift everything from down and bring it up, basically. So I have to admit that yes, Finetec has wonderful paints, but some of them do not work for everyone. For example, these two don't work for me, but I was still happy that I could use them and play with them. So this is basically the comparison between the two. I still heavily prefer the Finetec ones and would consider them a better investment than the Kuretake ones, especially for my way of painting. Still, if you want to play with them, I have to admit that they're not as bad, the Kuretake ones, they're not as bad as I had initially thought. So, let me know what your thoughts are about this comparison. Which one do you prefer? Which one would you buy? Would you prefer to invest, or would you prefer to play around and see what you could get with the cheaper one? Let me know what you think. Okay, so this is it for today's video. Thank you for being with me. Please subscribe if you liked my content and would like to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!